So you got a goal, but sometimes it seems as if you don't hit your goal. This week on Motivation and Confidence, we're going to give you 3 tips to make sure you hit that goal. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best. And I'm your host, Tom Danger. Back this week with a new episode. And as always, we thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast, kindly send us a note, tomdanger.com, TOMDANGER at, am I saying that right? TOMDANGER.com. Hit the contact form, fill it out. We've been getting quite a few requests. Very thankful. We want to make sure that the guests that we do feature on the podcast are in line with what the audience needs are. So if it doesn't fit the needs of the audience, please don't take offense to that. It's just we're being mindful of who we put on the podcast so that it meets the needs of the audience. If you have questions, I would love to answer your questions directly on the podcast. So if you have a situation or scenario where you're looking for some guidance, or based on some of the things that we spoke about, how we could potentially help you with your situation, you could also go to the website, tomdanger.com, contact form, and you can fill out that information there. Leave it totally anonymous if you do not want your name to be disclosed. We will just give you whatever the first letter is of your name, and we will speak to that letter. So if your name starts with the letter T, this question comes from T, and we're going to answer her question or his question based upon X. You know, everything that we do here is to help you do your daily best. One of the core foundations of the podcast has become the DISC assessment. So if you're ever curious about what your strengths and weaknesses are in your personality and from a behavioral standpoint and how you can improve in that, also go to the website, tomdanger.com, contact form, fill it out, free of charge. We'll send you the link, complete it 10 minutes, and then we'll schedule a call, 15 minutes to review it so that you can determine what your next steps are. Now, let's get into the podcast. So I've had people ask me, how do you do so much? I'm going to tell you the secret. The secret is write everything down. Do I mean everything? Yes, I mean everything. If there is a goal that you want to hit, write it down. So the first step to attaining your goal is write it and recite it. Okay? So what do I mean? If you want to create a business, the first thing you have to do is write down what type of business that it is, or what type of product or service that you want to provide. You write it down. I wanted to share with you, I have several books here. This one looks like an old, manuscript. It's really cool. It's 11 pages and so forth. And then this book, I will write down my high items, like things that I want to do before I leave this planet, how I want to be remembered, how I impact the lives of other people. Remember, there are no limits to your pen. This is where you free yourself. You free yourself when you write things down. You write things down, you imagine, and you dream without any limitations. Don't be your own dream killer by looking at something and saying oh, $1 million is too much, or $1 billion is too much. No. You can even write $1 trillion if you want to. If you're solving a problem or providing a product or service that helps people, everything is attainable, especially through your imagination. So make sure that you write it and recite it. Once you write it down, I recently learned that it is very important to affirm what you're saying. So you have to several times throughout the day say it to yourself to remind yourself what you're going to do. Okay? I've done this recently in starting another business. I know that my weakness is getting distracted if I don't have a plan. Once I lock into the plan, I'm all good. But sometimes, especially looking at stuff online, you can get easily distracted and go down a rabbit hole. Like you looking for one thing, and marketers are so clever that they'll have you to click on something, and before you know it, you click on that page that leads you to another page, leads you to another video, to another blog post, and you just spent the hour looking at something and you still walk away with nothing, right? So another recommendation is if you found a subject matter expert and you've done your due diligence and they have provided reviews and maybe some samples of what they can do and how they can help you, rather than you browsing online for hours and, trying to figure out what it is that you need, pay that person to sit down and talk to them for hours so you can get straight to the point, right? I know sometimes you may say, oh, I don't have the money. You'd be surprised even if you just ask the question, right? Like someone asked me, how do you stay organized? And I am telling you exactly what I do, free of charge. I'm not trying to hit you in the head with anything. It's just sharing with you what has been successful for me. And if you could use this and modify it to help you reach your goals, even better. So the first step is write it and recite it. Second step, plan it and map it. So you want to put a plan in place that's going to serve as a guide to get you where you want to go. What do I mean? So in creating content this week, so I have a book that's literally called a content book, right? I also write songs in here. But in this content book, before we started to film anything, we wrote down, well, first of all, who are we talking to, right? You always want to know who you're talking to. You're doing your content, or you have your product or your service, understand who you're speaking to so that you know exactly what's going on there. So you want to make sure that you're mapping it out. So what does the map look like in this case? Now, from following certain social media experts, the recommendation for Instagram is to do 3 posts per day. Okay? You're following under the format of know, like, trust, or what we like to do is how-to quotes and entertainment, or what people also like to call inspiration, educational, and motivational. Okay? So we'll start with 3 columns, right? At the high level, it puts what this week's subject is, goals, and then each column will basically touch on inspirational, educational, and motivational. And we will map out based on what people have asked us in question, or if I've seen questions or comments on different pages on social media as far as how certain things can get done, if I can answer it, then we're going to map out the content to do that. So Monday or Sunday through Saturday, 3 pieces of content, 21 posts, okay? This is the map that we use before we even start the film, so we know exactly where we're going. Now, once we start moving, there'll be a whole bunch of other things that are going on that could basically throw us off, but you'll still have your guide to keep you in place. So that's very important for you to plan it, right? Plan it in the sense of how do you want it to look, and then you want to map it out. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is set a date. Now, when it comes to creating content, the date to film for us is always a Saturday or a Sunday, and we block out 2 hours. And in that 2 hours, we get as much done as possible, okay? And you want to have a concrete date set in place just so that you know what you're going towards. Because if you just leave it open, then you're going to allow other people to come into your day and take away from that time, or you may allow other situations to prevent you from doing that. And in knowing some of your personality types, I know that you would do more for somebody else than what you do for yourself. So when you write it down and you make that commitment, you're making that commitment to yourself. And you have to be strong enough to tell people no until you complete the things that you have set out to do. As hard as that may be, you have to make that commitment to yourself. Now, if you don't have anybody to help you with creating your stuff, that's when you lean into technology and you do as much as you can do with your phone. If there's certain things that you're not good at, again, that's when you partner with the people who are really good at it, or you join groups to where other people have the same type of mindset so that you have some sort of accountability. But these are 3 things that I would recommend to you in order to keep your goals on point. First step, write it and recite it. Second step, plan it, map it. And the third step is to basically set a date. These are 3 ways that'll help you hit your goal. If you have other ways that you recommend, please hit us up. And as always, this is Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best.